Coming to you from the floor of the 2022 SVG Summit, Brandon Costa from Sports Video Group. Thrilled to be here with one of our Tuesday General Session speakers, Sara Gaiero. She's from ESPN. She's a coordinating producer who oversees a lot of what goes on with the WNBA at the network. Sara, so wonderful to meet you in person. Thanks so much for coming by. Great to see you.
Yes, this is great. Thank you for having me. This is my first time at the event, and it's been a great 2 days, right? So a lot of fun things to see, a lot of people to network with, right? And great to talk with you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, it was a big year for women's sports collectively. The WNBA saw more than 20% growth across the season. The game one of the finals was on ABC. When you look back on the year that was, what were some of the highlights that stand out from the season of the WNBA?
Yeah, you mentioned some of it, but I just think the comprehensive coverage that we provided of the WNBA this year, right, from the off season where we launched a draft lottery show, right? We did a free agency show special in February, which was the first time for us, and with the free agents period what it is right now, it was awesome to have a presence in the off season, and then into the draft and all the other shows that we were able to sort of launch during the regular season in and around our game coverage, right? Our game coverage was the most that we've had, up 17% from the year prior. We had exclusive coverage of the playoffs and the finals, right? And the most games on ABC this year. So I think collectively, seeing the comprehensive coverage we had, and with all of that coverage, we can tell good stories. We can tell the stories of these athletes in this league. And that's a sort of key tenet of what we do too, right? We'll document the games, we'll give you some storytelling, and hopefully that is what brings the fans back to want more from us.
Yeah, you mentioned that point on the ABC games. I'm curious from your perspective, what are those conversations like currently within ESPN? It's very much if you build it, they will come kind of mentality, but when you guys put games on ABC, it pops.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that across the board too, right? Not just with women's basketball, but with our softball coverage, with our gymnastics coverage. So I think that's exactly it, right? The ratings are proving that there's an interest and a fan base that are thriving or thirsting for this coverage of women's sports. And so we can advocate for those primetime placements, but what really helps us is the ratings are driving the success. And so I can go back to my spaces and say, hey, look, this is working. Like, give us more, right? And I think so. I'm grateful to the fans for tuning in and for watching, because without them and without our ratings, being up, I think it's a different conversation. So we just have to keep pushing.
As a production person, what are some of the things that you and your team have brought to WNBA coverage specifically that you feel like is really helping take the storytelling of the league to another level?
Ooh, that's a good question, right? I think I'm very grateful to this league because they're very open to access. I think we've seen player access is really something that fans are thirsting for rather. And so the WNBA is very open to that, right? This has always been a playground that we've been allowed to sort of play in and it push the boundaries a little bit, right? And thankfully the stars are committed to playing with us in that space, right? So Sue Bird will wear a mic, Asia Wilson will wear a mic, right? We've got locker room access. So I think doing more of that, figuring out how to push those boundaries a little bit more will be helpful to us. And then just, innovating with some of our camera angles and how we can take advantage of the technologies that are out there to broaden our storytelling, right? We're going to document the game, we're going to give you that coverage, but how can we go a little bit deeper with the storytelling? I think that's something to sort of look forward to.
Sure, and you mentioned it on the panel, that buy-in from the big stars is huge. I mean, you're not talking about just, a BC-level stars here. I mean, these are the most popular names in the league. Lastly, what are you looking forward to in 2023? Obviously not trying to play any spoilers here, but what can we look forward to from the WNBA on ESPN?
Well, I think what I'm looking forward to most is to seeing how we capitalize on the growth that we've already sort of, put out there, right? So we now have, in my mind, a baseline for what coverage of the WNBA should be, what coverage of women's sports should be. How are we going one step above? How are we taking that one step further? And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Well, Sara, thank you so much for taking your time out of your very busy schedule. I know you're also working on the NBA, planning things for the big Christmas blowout. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your expertise with our community here.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for having us. Thanks for covering women's sports.
Of course. For more of everything going on here at the 2022 SVG Summit, you can head on over to our site at sportsvideo.org. You'll also be able to access full archives of all the main stage sessions, including the one with Sara on women's sports.